Draft your LCS team and earn money. Alpha Draft.
Welcome back to week 2 of the 2015 Spring Split. My name's Trevor Quickshot Henry, and by my side is the lovely Martin Deficio Lunga, as SK Gaming, who are currently at 3-0, are about to face off against the Unicorns of Love, who find themselves at a 2-1 record. Let's start by reminding everybody who is on the starting lineup for SK Gaming. It is, of course, Steady Freddy up in the top lane, Sven Skeren playing in the jungle, Fox and Forgiven is your AD carry and AP carry, as well as Enrated and Inner Flame to round out the team. SK, in my mind, is the only undefeated team thus far in the Spring Split who are really, really impressive. I want to start highlighting why I think that, and let's actually take a look at some of their stats and statistics. We've prepared a few of them that really shine out. First of all, they've got the highest team total KDA, as well as the lowest deaths across all teams in the Spring Split. They've got a massive GPM, 352. It's actually second, only behind Fnatic. Fnatic have had a couple extra stomps on their side. They've also killed more wards per minute, despite the fact that they haven't actually given up that many wards. It carries on. Forgiven is still the highest GPM in the EU LCS. It was around 450 with 0 deaths. And finally, Sven Skeren has got an incredibly high 90% kill participation. Deficio, he's been involved in 37 out of 41 of his team kills. I'm calling it now they're the best team in Europe at this point in time.
You done?
Yes, you may not.
All right, great. I agree. SK Gaming look fantastic. Best team in Europe. I'm not sure. I want to see them play against Fnatic. I want to see them play against a team who can actually challenge them and be aggressive in the early to mid game. Unicorns of Love, who they're facing now, can do it. And we're going to see if they can actually pull it off.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the battle in the top lane between Chachi and Freddy. They're both like Gnar. Also looking at Sven Skeren taking on Kikis, Rek'Sai. Take a look at the roster there for the Unicorns of Love. To remind everybody as well, obviously Chachi top, Kikis jungle, Power of Evil, Vardags, Hylissang, and Sheepy as the supports.
Yeah, and again, we talk about Kikis. Rek'Sai yesterday, 8-0 and 8, if I remember correctly. At least 8 kills for him. He was absolutely fantastic on it. And I really feel like him compared to Sven Skeren, if you look at the Rek'Sai performance, Kikis was a lot more aggressive early on, but also the games were very different. SK was fairly slow-paced, where Unicorns of Love against Giants was, of course, massive fighting over and over. And obviously, Power of Evil as well in the mid lane benefits from these aggressive games. I think actually he's a guy who can also shut down SK Gaming, trying to at least create some trouble in the mid lane, because he's been very, very solid.
Yeah, he really has. And somebody that's also stepped up, in my opinion, is Vardags. He's somebody that we were not necessarily hyping up coming into the Spring Split, but the moment he gets out of lane, he actually performs exceptionally well.
Yeah, that's the only problem for him, is the laning phase is not the best between him and, of course, Hylissang on support, but teamfight-wise, he's on the same page as his team here. He's a very aggressive AD carry in there. He's not just staying back and farming, and that really benefits Unicorns of Love as a team, because they all go completely all in when they do fight.
So we need to see if Unicorns of Love can continue stepping up against SK.
Basically, yeah.
Currently undefeated. Talking about the Unicorns of Love, and despite being known for that eclectic champion pool, there is one lane pick that is an absolute must-have in the current meta as far as Vizicsacsi is concerned.
Gnar is really good because of his kit. Like, it can be really used in literally every team comp, because you have engage, disengage, a lot of stuff poking, and the laning phase is actually really strong as well. If you are like sieging top tower, it can be visible in our Gambit game as well. I was actually preserving my transformation. Like, I stopped at 97 range and I didn't even attack the minions or anything, just let my teammates do it, and I can transform whenever it's needed. So it's actually manageable, but sometimes you just slip through the 100 and transform when you don't want to. So, well, it happens, but with practice it can be manageable. I personally consider Gnar the best top laner, so if there is the opportunity that he is open, we will most likely pick him up.
I love hearing from pro players when they talk about these favorite picks. We just saw Wicked have a couple of good ultimates, a couple of bad ultimates, but right at the end of the game, it was his Gnar slam into the wall that ended up winning it.
Exactly. I mean, you can do so many big plays on Gnar. Engaging as, like, if you're the main engager, it can be a bit hard for you. You're gonna need the flash, a thing Wicked didn't actually use in the last game, except for the very last team fight. But Vizicsacsi, when he's playing Gnar, so good in the laning phase, and so good again, and joining the team fights with his teleport every single time he has the chance, and he's been basically first picking, instant locking, not even waiting a second whenever it has been open for Unicorns of Love. Just looking again at the game yesterday against Giants.
Yeah, Na is definitely up there as some of the highest priority picks, along with Rek'Sai. Both of these teams have actually used them in recent games to perform incredibly well. So let's see if they're going to get banned or first picked. First ban out the gates for SK Gaming is the Cassiopeia. The one thing that's going to be interesting in my mind is how the support picks are going to play out. Enrated has only played Lulu in the spring split. Hylissang sticking with the more traditional Leona and Thresh. But Enrated's Lulu, despite it being somewhat off meta, he's got a 16 KDA, 250 GPM. He's doing very well on that champion.
Yeah, and it really fits into SK Gaming's play style. Because if you actually look at SK Gaming play, they're not the team to start the fights. They're the ones who baits it out. They want you to engage onto them. Buy time for SK then to decide, okay, are we going to take a tower or dragon somewhere else while you're trying to kill our top laner? Or are we going to go through mid lane to the top lane and actually help him? And that's why this Lulu pick from Enrated has really paid off, because you can disengage, you can keep someone alive and keep kiting around, keep buying time for your team. And that's what SK Gaming has been playing around in all 3 games.
So big questions on the board. Is Narvin going to be taken? Is Rek'Sai going to be taken? You've got all these priority picks that are available. Let's run through the bans. They were quite odd. Definitely targeted. Hecarim, Cassiopeia, Irelia from SK. Zed, Lissandra, Azir. So a lot more carry-oriented from Unicorns. And that's a Rek'Sai lock-in for Svenskeren.
Yeah, and the reason Unicorns didn't actually ban Rek'Sai with the last ban here was because they saw all the bans towards Vishichachi in the top lane, Irelia, of course, he can even play Hecarim. And by leaving Rek'Sai open, you force SK to either take it and then give you the Gnar and therefore basically nullify these top lane bans from them, or obviously give Kikis a Rek'Sai, which he went completely off on yesterday.
Yeah, very, very smart pick to deny Kikis. I'm not entirely sure you want to be giving Chachi that Gnar. The one thing that interests me is the fact that Thresh is also picked, because it's not a champion we've associated with Enrated particularly often.
That shows to me that Unicorns of Love actually want to try and counterpick more with at least the mid lane pick, maybe in the bottom lane matchup or the AD carry matchup. By taking that Thresh, you know SK doesn't play it, and yet you take it this early on. So simply just to see what SK is picking now, and then you pick around it. And I want to see if this Rek'Sai pays off as a first pick, because I feel it's very, very risky to do when Jarvan is open and Gnar is open, because that could be the lock-in for Unicorns of Love, and they don't have to take the jungler. And that's why they didn't in the first place, because Rek'Sai already had been locked in for SK. So I'm actually not too sure about first picking it.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out for SK. As you've said, if Svenskeren can get rolling, it's obviously going to be worth it. This is the 3rd time we'll see Forgiven on Graves. 0 deaths across his 3 previous games. You do, of course, see Sheepy there on your screen, coach for the Unicorns of Love. Going to be helping to decide what the next picks are. Kassadin was the 3rd pick for SK.
Yeah, should be Jarvan for Unicorns of Love and for the AD carry. I mean, Corki has been a pick we've seen into Graves many times. You just play very safe in the laning phase, and you just have that long-range poke instead of the all-in potential of a Graves with the Corki instead. And Vardax, of course, has played it yesterday. Or maybe switching it up here. Want some more late game with the Jinx. So you have the same setup. Rocket actually ran with the Jinx Thresh here. You have the Lantern to help her, and obviously you're going to build a QSS later on if there's some CC coming from SK Gaming.
And I feel there's enough protection there from the Thresh, the Box, the Flays, Cataclysm, even Gnar, to at least keep the front line up and running. Let's see what Power of Evil is going to be running in that mid lane, as his pick will be last. For SK, they need to opt on their support, which is most likely going to be Lulu, unless Enrated wants to throw us a curveball. Hell, he ran support Galio last year. He's played some oddball picks.
True.
And let's see what SK decides to lock in. They have to get either a mid or top lane. Kassadin is somewhat flex.
Oh, wow.
We're not expecting that against Gnar. Let me just quickly throw this out. During the playtest last year before Gnar was released, I actually beat Wicked with Kennen against Gnar on the PBE build version. So that's a little bit of bragging rights. I'm expecting it in Freddy's hands.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of Kennen here, but definitely expecting it to be in the top lane for SK and have a bit of a lane bull into the Gnar here. Let's see what Freddy can do. And this lock-in, Syndra into Kassadin, is actually a matchup that Power of Evil likes. And I want to see if he at level 1 takes his W instead of his Q, because there's now lower damage on the Q after the changes here in 5.1. The W does more damage at rank 1, and you can use it, grab the minion, bait out the shield from the Kassadin, and then you throw it at him and you actually win the trade one-on-one there. So we're going to have to see if he wants to do it, but all in all for Unicorns of Love here, you have the Gnarvan
The
combo.
Gnarvan, yeah, that
Gnarvan
works.
combo would work, not the win combo. And obviously you have now the late game scaling of the Jinx with the mid game power of a Syndra. So Unicorns have a bit of everything here.
Yeah, despite the fact that Syndra's laning phase is weakened, it did not stop Power of Evil to get a 14 KDA when he ran it last week, I believe it was. You've still got a lot of squishy targets on the side of SK, so Syndra's ultimate is still going to be able to burst them down. I think the potential is very exciting for Unicorns of Love. Their composition is a little more standard to what we're seeing.
Yeah.
And it's up to SK to make use of this Blitzcrank Cannon combo. AoE, 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 that's the story of their team comp as far as I can see.
We're going to get once again see again the 1-3-1 from SK coming in. Kassadin one lane, Kennen of course sitting in the one-on-one against 9, the other one. And then you have Enrated roaming around on the Blitzcrank here trying to create the picks.
So there are the team comps on your screens. It is of course SK Gaming taking on the Unicorns of Love. I'm particularly excited to see our first cannon of 2015 in the European Spring Split. It was one of my first mains as well. And we'll see how this performs. We know that Na does particularly well against bruisers and sometimes can struggle against some of the ranged harass of other top laners.
Yeah.
Let's see if Freddy can actually find that one-on-one lane. We are on the Rift for Game 4 here in Week 2.
I'm going to see Freddy as well starting Doran's Blade here, just so he has more lane pressure early on with his auto attacks. He will be going AP though, I would expect at least from his cannon. Later on, just starting the Doran's Blade. Trying to shut down Visicharchi. We could see Unicorns of Love go straight for lane swap, and they are actually moving into the jungle of SK Gaming here. Lane swap on that cannon, he's easy to dive, deny him some farm if you can, and avoid that one-on-one matchup where he can be a bit of a bully.
So we'll keep our eyes on how the lanes set up. Unicorns for the time being, going for those deep wards, grouped up as 5. Somewhat standard starts really in this day and age. We do see that Graves Blitzcrank combo. If anybody gets hooked, i.e. a Jinx with little to no escapes, that is a lot of burst damage that can come down very quickly.
Yeah, but if SK do fall behind, suddenly the Blitzcrank doesn't really have too many targets to aim for. Jarvan and Gnar standing in the front line is not exactly who you want to pull in. And Vardax and Power of Evil with the long range will be staying very far back, making it hard for Enrated to make a play. So it's going to really rely on how SK Gaming can play the early game, and if Enrated can actually start roaming on Blitzcrank. Because the thing is, normally when you play Blitzcrank, it's a lot about getting deep wards down and like spotting where the enemy team is moving around so you can hook them from a blind spot and they have no time to react. But SK Gaming obviously doesn't play around that.
I really like the fact you bring that up. Yesterday, Enrated had a great interview with me discussing their vision and said, well, if you don't have those deep wards, what benefit is it going to be? We do see that Power of Evil has started with his W, as anticipated, and let's see how he plays it out. We've seen Invade, though, onto the Gromp. Svenskeren in trouble. Hela staying in touch. They force the flash.
But that little trade we got to see in the mid lane is how Power of Evil will play with the W at rank 1. He takes the minion, and then he forces the Kassadin to fight a Q in his face, so that obviously the magic shield pops, but it only lasts for a second, and he just waits. Shield is gone. Then he throws the minion onto the Kassadin from Syndra here, and actually wins out on the trade at level 1. But he will still be maxing his Q. Needs to get that fully stacked anyway for his passive.
So we'll keep our eyes on that mid lane matchup. Power of Evil, one of the most prolific Syndra players here in Europe, and he's already demonstrated his abilities on the big stage. We do see the lane swap actually came down. It was Unicorns of Love that initiated it after getting the vision, and obviously having Hylissang with the help of Chachi to invade. Remember that they bullied out Svenskeren and got his flash early.
Yeah, but due to that invade, Freddy actually picked up a lot of farm in the lane, and Freddy's one of the top laners who will always, even before the changes to experience here where it was longer range you could get it from, he would always go straight to his lane in a 1v2 and try and get some farm for himself. And it's actually worked for him, seeing as we had the invade onto Svenskeren. So 10 CS already level 2, close to level 3 for Freddy early on.
So a decent start here for one of the energy-based champions that we don't see a whole lot. Takes a lot of poke from Vardax. A little more than he was anticipating. Still got that TP if he needs it. Put an early point in that lightning rush to get away from the poke. So let's see what Enrated can do. Trying to set himself up. There's no escape in PoE without his flash.
Yeah, and same start for Enrated and SK Gaming in lane swaps. Graves, or Forgiven, will push the wave. He will try and take down the tower as fast as possible. Enrated will recall early on, get a pink ward, go straight to the mid lane and place it. so they have some more information around their mid lane, and then he goes back and he starts again pushing in the tower. They don't care about denying any farm or CS from Vizicsacsi. They just care about taking the tower as early as possible, swap back to the top lane, and then Freddy can go down to the bottom lane instead and hold it, and then you have a tower advantage through the lane swap.
So, it's very clear, Deficio, you've got a grasp on how SK Gaming plays these lane swaps. Let's see if Unicorns of Love understand the same, and whether or not they can play around it. First rocket grab from Enrated goes a little wide. We do see Svenskeren moving towards the bottom lane. Example of his vision. Let's see how he decides to play this out. Kikis is helping out bottom as well.
Yeah, and with the long range here and the safety on a cannon, Freddy's just standing 1v2 and he's not getting denied anything up in this lane. And SK really like to have these good lane swapping top lanes. When they play a Gnar, they go and get a camp at level 1 for Freddy, so he gets instant level 2. And now though, taking a bit of damage.
Oh, manages
Chompers
to get
a bit too
away
late.
from the Flame Chompers. Anton does get clicked by Vardag, so once Freddy is against the two opponents of the Unicorns of Love, he does get bullied out, but he's doing a good job nonetheless, keeping himself relevant. We did see on the bottom, Forgiven's pushed the wave up. Blitzcrank not going to be the greatest at taking an early tower, as SK traditionally like to do. Not as good as Lulu, that's for sure. And we need to see how quickly SK can secure the objective and then start moving around the map. Svenskeren already setting up some tunnels, and Kik is trying to deny them.
Unicorns of Love should have seen enough from SK Gaming in the past week to know that Enrated always places a pink ward in the mid lane. Could actually gone in with the Syndra Jarvan combination, which of course is going to be stronger here early on than the Kassadin if you do have a small fight between the junglers and mid laners, and cleared that pink ward, denied that information and vision from SK Gaming, but they actually haven't. And just as we talk about it, Kikis walks straight in there and kills it.
So got there eventually. Svenskeren gonna tunnel, gonna get the knock up onto Vardag.
Vardag's all alone.
Svenskeren, or rather Freddy's gonna get the stun down. Vardag flashes away, gonna throw the zap out, but it's not enough. Freddy continues to auto attack. That's a flash for first blood in the mid lane. Fox is under trouble, down to below 100 HP. Kikis, he flashes over, does not get the lance, and that means Fox gets away. So first blood to Freddy in the top lane. Hylissang caught napping, trying to set something up elsewhere on the map.
Yeah, Vardax is pushing up all alone there, not respecting the fact that Rek'Sai can tunnel over pretty much all the walls on the map. And just a very easy first spot for Freddy on that cannon. Wow, people really still like Unicorns of Love.
That is very, very impressive. This is one of the first times that a challenger team that's qualified for the LCS has actually gained the public, public popular opinion in this shorter time, beating out both Gambit and SK in terms of who they think will win. Of course, their comp is a little more standard as well. Keep that in mind. The question is based off of seeing a Kennen in the top lane and Enrated playing Blitzcrank. It's not a champion we see him on all too often. And SK picked up first blood, so already going against what the voters said. Enrated, fortunately not having the best grabs. Hylissang, in reply, not having the best grabs. And Chachi and Forgiven just farming away.
So Unicorns of Love tried to reply to the fast push here from SK by sending Hylissang down and actually defended down.
Enrated gets hopped on, Gnar backwards. Enrated in trouble, got that power fist charged. Ends up flashing away to safety. Also gets the summoner heal of Forgiven. So summoner spell advantage heavily in favor of Unicorns of Love, that trade.
Yeah, nice little setup by Vizicsacsi. Getting the Mega Knight. Still, they're trying just to defend the tower. They won't really be able to hold it off. Forgiven should be able to get in and actually kill it and then swap to the top side if he wants to go for the next one, because Vardax is falling very, very far behind. Dying, of course, beforehand. Staying alone in the lane and not been able to deny Freddy. So once again, SK Gaming winning out on these lane swaps.
Earned themselves a small gold lead. We'll see how it works out. Enrated caught by the death sentence and Flay. 2 turret shots and some good poke. So decent setup there from Hylissang. Forgiven yet to back. Keep that in mind. 80 CS. It's a lot of money to be sitting on. Close to 2,600 gold. His opposite number, Vardag's already with that pickaxe. So a little bit of a difficult situation. Chachi is going to have the support of Kikis. The slide, the glide, the dunk. Freddy's got the slicing maelstrom. He stunned up both members of the Unicorns of Love. Vizicsacsi flashes in. He's going to be able to keep getting pushed back. Freddy doing a good job. That's a flash knockup. Svenskeren saves him.
The Rek'Sai ulti from downtime coming. Oh, the rocket is flying through the mid lane and it's not going to hit anyone.
No, we got a little excited. Decent attempt.
But Freddy here
survives and gets away with an assist.
Yeah, no Mega Knife for Vizicachi here, and Kikis had used everything he had. Freddy just staying alive, waiting for Svenska then to come. And again, one of the reasons Rek'Sai is such a strong pick. There's global ulti here you can use as long as you have a tunnel, as you can see in the minimap, around the top side and around the bottom side. You can go between these side lanes very easily and get the counter gank off here from SK.
Yeah, it was something that you mentioned yesterday when we got to see the first European Rek'Sai, how important it is to get that defensive tunnel placements across the map. Now, Enrated set up some good wards to get eyes on this blue Sentinel. Going to have the support of half the SK team. Rocket Grab is not going to connect, so Hylissang gets away. Now, there is a ward on this blue buff. SK considering a challenge, actually, a pink ward out Dragon. Now, this is a little risky, although there's no teleport for Chachi, so Unicorns of Love not looking like they're going to engage.
Same kind of power play from SK where Freddy moves from the top lane once he went back to base, and then he moves straight to the Dragon. He saves the teleport for right now when he's going to teleport back to the lane because the wave has been built up by Vizicachi. This is exactly the same play from SK we've seen in all the games they play. Freddy will never, or at least not very often, teleport to a Dragon. He's going to run there and teleport back to his lane once they've picked it up.
So, Deficio, I want to ask you about SK's play in a moment. Let's see if Svenskeren is in any sort of trouble. Hylissang's going to move forward, and it's very, very clear that you know every decision SK is making, from the prediction to lane swaps, how they manage it, how they push towers, etc. If you can see it that clearly, there's a series of questions. Why can Unicorns of Love not see it? Also, what should they be doing in this scenario? They appear to be grouping in mid lane, got a numbers advantage. It's not the greatest of wave clear from SK, but let's see if anyone can get hooked by a Rocket Grab. The answer is no.
I don't think the response from Unicorns of Love is too bad. It's just been individual mistakes, honestly. Vardak's dying, then the gank onto Freddy here ended up going wrong for the Unicorns of Love, so they have fallen behind. But all in all, I mean, you have to, again, you have to know what's going to happen. When Forgiven is in a lane swap, people push the wave. You know it's going to happen, so you send down your support, and you make sure that you can pick up farm, defend your own tower, and therefore you delay SK from doing these early pushes. That could be an option for you. But obviously, it's so much easier for us to sit here and say it when we can see everything compared to the teams when you're actually playing. You might know what's going to happen, but then we see the mistakes coming in where you don't get a kill onto Freddy or Vardak's overextends, and suddenly you fall behind and now you're on the back foot.
Let's see if Unicorns of Love can play on the back foot. They definitely impressed yesterday against the Giants. They're off to a more difficult start this time round. Forgiven with a very large CS advantage over Vardak. He's got an entire BF sword in addition to his damage. Freddy sitting on those sorcerer shoes, working his way towards an hourglass. Fox very nearly getting his Rod of Ages, so nothing really to speak of as far as itemization is concerned.
No, just going back to your point beforehand, the only thing I probably would have changed for Unicorns of Love was instead of allowing Freddy to have a bit of a free lane.
Oh, Chachi's got minions and a tower. He's pulled Freddy back. Slicing Maelstrom up though, and we'll see if this works out. Not only is Sven here Enrated, is trying to make this gank work even better. Footsteps, going to reveal the position of Chachi. He's got no flash available, nor does he have a Mega Gnar. Look at those steps, those little pings. Three members of Unicorns of Love. They've caught Svenskeren, they've dunked him, they've hooked him, they've pulled him backwards. That's a Death Sentence. Is going to land the kill onto Svenskeren before Rocket Grab replies onto the man who sentenced Sven to death. Hylissang and Sven go down 1-for-1.
Yeah, now Unicorns of Love have to recall. Freddy is staying. You want to push down this tower here. But again, in that lane swap, Rocket honestly should have gone very aggressive on Freddy. Dived him in. He's playing a cannon. You know the Blitz gang. Oh, Fox is not dead.
No, he's not. Manages to get away from that Super Mega Death Rocket. However, decent attempt from Power of Evil and Vardak. Top tower goes down. SK Gaming extend the gold lead. 3,000 in the advantage. And talking about farm, Power of Evil has got a significant amount higher than Fox. That lane matchup you were talking about, how Power of Evil's super confident into it, definitely working out.
It's the problem for him that the rest of the team hasn't been able to keep up with SK. Forgiven is far ahead, and the same goes for Freddy compared to the lane counterparts. And again, because if you don't dive the cannon in the lane swap, knowing that the Blitzcrank is going to be on the bottom side of the map because SK always fast push it, so he can't be there to assist him, but then you allow Freddy just to pick up all the farm. It happened yesterday as well. You have to dive Freddy, send up your jungler, have your support, have your AD carry, kill him in this lane swap, take the tower, trade to tower top lane for the bottom lane one, and then you actually come out ahead, or even at least in the lane swap with SK Gaming.
Fisher, I think you'd make a good coach. We'll see how much trouble these guys are in. Enrated gets hooked up. Fox has taken some poke, and a bit of a comedy of errors as everything else goes way wide. Nobody caught out. Unicorns have got the numbers advantage. They've even pulled Chachi down from the top lane. They're going to secure their first tower of the game, closing that gold gap ever so slightly. Still in favor of SK Gaming. SK, of course, also got that first dragon. Keep in mind, SK's dragon control over the course of their last 3 games has also been simply exquisite. They're getting dragons earlier and more frequently than any of the other European LCS teams. 2 of the games have actually got, all 3 games actually have gone all the way to that 5th dragon. However, they didn't need it in 2 of their 3 previous wins.
SK Gaming is so good at getting the right pick just before dragon or whatever objective is actually spawning, and then they go straight down and take it. And again, they use the minions here. Notice how Freddy in the top lane is pushing very aggressively right now, because he knows he's going to be needed for this dragon. So he can actually start recalling once he pushes the wave, walk down to dragon, save his teleport if he wants to. Wow, did he just miss the blue buff?
No, the blue buff moved. The blue buff dodged it. The blue buff dodged it. So Hylissang gets knocked up. Fox jumps in. Box goes down. Fox is stunned. He's caught by the death sentence. He's knocked up by Kikis. The slam dunk cataclysm throws Fox into the ground. Unicorns of Love grab another kill. They should secure their blue buff as well. It does go to Kikis.
Dragon's still not alive here, so just trying to get their mid tower. Clear the minions at least, and everyone actually knows how people got the blue buff. These grabs here from Enrated.
Yeah, that's right. Kikis actually stole it from getting the kill onto Fox. So Freddy's continued to push after losing the mid laner. Hasn't opted to recall and head for that dragon yet. 15 seconds.
Still has time.
Keeping Chachi actually fairly low down. This is one of the things you talk about with Gnar. There's a few matchups that he struggles against somewhat, and a lot of them are those ranged poke, ranged harass type.
There's the recall. Let's see if he walks straight down to the dragon after. He should be able to complete an hourglass.
Yes, he does. There's that hourglass.
Now he's moving to dragon. Oh, it's almost like we've seen it before.
Oh, really? I had no idea that was coming to Fisher. Let's see what Unicorns of Love can do. They've got a little bit of vision, but if you look at all of the wards around the dragon pit, Unicorns are now starting to clear out SK. So advantage to the Unicorns of Love. They need to press and they need to be very careful with those Blitzcrank hooks. Look at Fox shoving up the bottom wave. There are minions in the top wave pushing against Unicorn's top tower, and Power of Evil has rushed to DFG. So if anyone's close enough, they're going to get burst down very, very hard.
Chachi is adapting to it though. He knows now the lane is pushing for him because he just cleared a few of the minions, and he's actually walking down to the dragon himself. So he's not using the teleport this time around, and therefore doing the exact same thing Freddy did. So we're going to have a straight up 5 versus 5 here around this dragon.
Let's see how quickly Chachi can charge up his Mega Gnar. Svenskeren throwing out those Prey Seekers. Very, very long range on them. Look, Fox again, still in the bottom lane. SK are split up. I've never been a massive fan of these pincer movements. Let's see if SK can make it work. Kikis has gone in. Instant flash away from Enrated. Unicorns of Love remain grouped up. Freddy's caught them. Slicing Maelstrom in the middle of the team. He's got the hourglass down. They've got Vardags. The damage is down. They follow up with Hylissang. The hop, the skip, the pounce. Chachi's jumped in. He's knocked up. He's down. SK Gaming trade 1 for 3, and they've got control of the Dragon Pit.
Absolutely fantastic flank here by SK Gaming. Straight onto Vardags. He dies instantly, even flashed into the wall here. And once he's gone, well, SK Gaming can just roll over Unicorns of Love here. That was a very, very nice setup, especially by Freddy. Flashing in, he had the hourglass completed, and tower as well for SK.
So Dragon secured, tower secured. They continue to grow that gold lead even further. Freddy's even had the audacity to push the bottom wave to that inner turret. And I noticed during the fight, Power of Evil didn't even get to use his DFG. Convincing team fight win. There's a replay.
So again, SK Gaming coming from 3 different angles onto Unicorns of Love here. Vardak's first target, nothing he can do. Power of Evil forced out of the fight instantly as well. And now it's just cleanup time. I mean, Forgiven completely untouched the entire fight long. And SK Gaming, you take the right fight here. Again, notice the wards around. It's all about Unicorns of Love here, but it doesn't matter. SK, they know exactly when to go in. They look for the right engage, they get it, take tower, take mid lane, and a big goal lead.
And it's actually so easy to mess that engage up. Very, very often you see those sort of pincer 2-3 angle fights being initiated, and the team that is grouped up is able to focus a target down quickly enough. But Kennen, of course, with that hourglass, with that slicing Maelstrom, able to get away. Fox put a lot of poke down into Hylissang, and Rated holds on to his rocket grab. Doesn't need it this time round. SK with a very, very well-executed team fight. You see that Randians has been picked up for Svenskeren. A lot of defensive stats against everyone except PoE. Be a bit careful. And Freddy again, split pushing.
Yeah, again, he's going to do this all game long. We said it in Champs League how Vizicsacsi can duel him one-on-one. So Freddy's going to have all the control in their top lane. Now all about his team actually using it to ward the jungle and get a pick on Kikis.
They catch Kikis, he instantly flashes away. Death Sentence connects with Enrated, but nobody from Unicorns wants to initiate on that one. We'll carry on talking about the split push because I think SK and Freddy, one of the only teams that is actually, continuing the split push. We're seeing the majority of other teams just favoring the heavy engage over and over and over. Let's see if Forgiven's going to get caught out. No!
Oh.
Baited! Forgiven knew about that. This cool as ice and just slides over the wall.
Slides over the wall. Notice how Freddy also is keeping his stealth totem here, so he wants to have that ward at all time. When he's split pushing, it's going to be the only ward he's going to place in that jungle most likely, unless Enrated is there with him. But for now, same old SK Gaming, same style. They have the 2 dragons to 0. You have tower advantage. A lot of farm on Freddy, a lot of farm on Forgiven, like always. Falling behind the mid lane, but it's not really too big of a problem for SK.
It really isn't, and you somewhat expect it. Syndra into Kassadin, even though Kassadin traditionally does well against AP mages. Power of Evil, one of the few Syndra players that can really bully the weaknesses of Kassadin. And that CS difference proves it. The thing is, Power of Evil hasn't been able to convert that laning advantage into a team fight advantage because Unicorns have just been collapsed on more frequently than they've been able to look for opportunities against SK.
And keep in mind the Jinx as well need more time to scale up here before Unicorns will love. Really feel like Vardax can make a difference in the fight. So for now, it's all about Power of Evil and trying to start the fight with Kikis and Vizicsacsi going in, locking down a target that Power of Evil can actually kill. Going for this top lane now.
I don't think there's anything SK can do.
No.
They're arriving too late. Unicorns are going to get the tower before SK can respond. And look at Fox. He's miles and miles away. He's not going to stop the team fight. Freddy goes in, Slicing Maelstrom's out. The Cataclysm actually ended up helping SK Gaming. Look at the background, the collateral damage. Multi-man knocker from Svenskeren. We do see Freddy's been taken out in the fight as Vardax is in full retreat. Here comes Forgiven all the way from Greece, looking for Vardax. Boomerang goes out from Chachi, not going to be enough. Svenskeren. Oh, here's Fox. Better late than never, he gets one. Chachi manages to avoid the rocket grab, but SK are not giving up. Fox is going to rift walk. Actually, he's going to flash forward for that one. Enrated, can you get the power fist? That's the question. Knock up the dinosaur, and the dinosaur is down. Another great team fight for SK.
And that started as a 4v5 Unicorns. Went on to Freddy, popped his ulti, popped Outlast again, bought enough time. They cast it in all the way from the bottom lane. Starts roaming before the fight starts. Joins in with his team, picks up a few more kills. And SK, let's just see it again. So they go on to Freddy actually. They go on to Svenskeren, then jumping Freddy. Pops his ulti, pop the Hourglass, and now gets buying time. Look at Kassadin in the mid lane. He's coming to the top lane. All this damage here from Freddy before, and Svenskeren comes in, obviously Forgiven on the Graves, and now it's just cleanup time for SK.
The amount of zone control that Slicing Maelstrom from Freddy offered was really, really impressive. Unicorns of Love did not want to engage into that cannon ulti, and of course the traditional Jarvan helping, also even preventing them getting past that Hourglass. So, well thought out, this cannon pick working wonders for Freddy and SK. Finally, Chachi goes down after the extended chase.
Cannon's always been really, really strong in these mid-game fights. When there's not enough magic resist on the side of the enemy team, your ulti is just ripping through them. So for now, it's really paying off for SK again. You have so much mid-game damage through the Graves, Rek'Sai, and the Cannon, and for the late game, you have now a Kassadin coming in. So unless Unicorns of Love can actually hold off, waiting for Vardax to get to a late game point where he can become relevant, then they might be able to take a fight, but it's going to be so hard because the flanking potential of SK is insane, and you always have to respect the Blitzcrank as well.
Well, if Unicorns of Love were taking notes from the Roccat game, maybe they can figure out how to dig deep, push the game to late. Kikis looking for another engage. Nothing being presented at the moment. Once again, look at Fox. He's a day and a half hike away.
It's always the 1-3-1 from SK. Make sure you get farm on your soul laners at all time. Leave Forgiven in the mid lane. And then you just start reacting to what the enemy team is doing before they even realize you're actually moving up there and being ready to fight. They think they have an advantage, they don't, because you're already moving in as 5.
Fox was 40 CS down from Power of Evil. That has dropped to around 20. SK have grouped up in the middle. The Unicorns are pushing top. Let's see who's going to get the advantage. 3 towers to 2 thus far. We see SK Gaming pushing the inner turret. Look at the top. Freddy's trying to hold off 5. He's been gnawed against the wall. 5 members of Unicorns of Love. They're pushing to the inhibitor turret. Chachi's recalling. 4 members of SK Gaming are pushing. Collateral damage used from Forgiven to clear the wave. Inhibitor's going to go down for SK. Is Chachi going to try to defend this? What are Unicorns doing? Unicorns are opting. They're indecisive. SK are sticking around. Look, Fox is starting to recall before finally SK back off. And this game is now blown wide open. Top inhibitor down for SK, mid inhibitor down for Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, that was a good trade by Unicorns of Love. They got a kill, they got an inhibitor as well. Despite being so far behind in gold, this Dragon, however, will go to SK. Third one for them, 0 for the Unicorns.
Now we need to see who's going to play this map better. Yes, there is still a significant lead for SK. Ordering 7,000 gold, 3 dragons as well. But there are super minions pushing both teams. And seeing the way SK has pushed the side lanes and played that sort of 1-3-1 game, you have to feel strategically they're going to be more comfortable playing around super minions than the Unicorns of Love, who have not necessarily had that same level of map play.
No, but we have to keep in mind, sitting in the mid lane is always a lot easier playing those super minions, because obviously you can just move to either the side lanes if you need to. So Freddy should be the guy going dealing with the super minions later on, as he has the teleport. And also we see Unicorns of Love here, knowing the top lane's going to push straight for the bottom side. SK moving down, all 5 guys.
So, Slicing Maelstrom not available for a few more seconds. Freddy gets caught out, he's knocked up. Here comes the hop from Chachi. Cataclysm gets put out. We do see the Super Mega Death Rocket going out. It's not going to kill anyone yet. Unicorns of Love still looking for the fight. Kickus is in trouble. Here comes Svenskeren. Queen's Wrath spinning around. Freddy's the first one down as Vardax continues to put the damage out. Zap goes wide. Svenskeren's knocked against the wall. Unicorns of Love are clawing back the fight. 3 kills and a tower. SK cannot defend this inner turret either.
No, and this time around here, SK didn't manage to get every single one down to the bottom lane before the fight really started here. Freddy went down, super minions are pushing on the top side. Forgiven has to go back and clear them.
There's 2 super minions pushing up. We did see a rift walk there just to get away from Hylissang's death sentence. Unicorns of Love were 8,000 gold down. They stuck through that base race scenario, get an inhibitor, and now find themselves 3,500 gold down, closing that gold difference by 8. And very importantly, now pushing SK into the complete defensive.
Yeah, very surprising. SK wanted to take that trade with the 2 inhibitors, despite them being so far ahead. They didn't have to. They could have just stayed bottom lane and actually defended. Held off the Unicorns. But for now, we see SK finally actually being challenged by the Unicorns of Love.
Super, super interesting twist of events. That 5-man stack from Unicorns, well-timed. And of course, SK opting to go for the aggressive play. I mean, both teams choosing to go in, which is what allowed them to get those exposed inhibitors. So all the damage to the Nexus turret will very, very slowly regenerate. There's no margin for error. And I think you're right, Fisher. This is the first time that SK has actually even been pushed this far into their base. Their 3 previous wins are very, very one-sided. The Unicorns, if there were a team to challenge the top, Cyanide said maybe, I like the new Lemon Dogs. But they've got to win this to actually claim that title.
Yeah, I really like the engage from Kikis beforehand in the bottom lane. Knowing that N-Raider was running from mid lane, knowing someone was coming from base from SK, they knew, okay, they're not 5 yet. Let's go for it. Last time we got burned because we stayed around, we took too much damage from Freddy, but this time they just locked him in and actually stayed away from him, killed him once he came out of the hourglass, and suddenly they could win the team fight. So Unicorns of Love here, again, staying as a group, because for them, it's all about these 5 versus 5 here. For SK, it's about flanking around with the cannon, flanking around with the Kassadin, if you want to try and kill Vardax, all power people in these fights here.
And of course, Vardax, not a massive amount of sustain to speak of. He's got that Phantom Dance and Infinity Edge. Forgiven on the other side, Infinity Edge plus Bloodthirster. If Vardax is given any amount of time, he's going to potentially shred through HP bars, but he needs some armor pen to get through all that armor Svenskeren stacked up.
Yeah, Last Whisper will be, or should be, the next item for him, followed by a BT. And now obviously Super Minions pushing in, forcing Unicorns to go back and clear them. 3 dragons still for SK to 0, so we have that time bomb that Unicorns of Love have to worry about. They can't give up the next one, because they will be forced into fighting in a bad position suddenly.
Well, let's see how SK decide to play around that dragon and whether or not Unicorns are actually going to look to challenge. Because truthfully, Unicorns have been out of position and bullied away for the 3 previous Dragons. It's been complete controlled by SK. Unicorns have got 2 minutes to try set up. And look at all the vision on Baron. We could have a trade scenario potentially in play.
Yeah, so the thing is, again, for SK, normally when they take a Baron, it's because they've just won a team fight and then they rush into Baron, so they don't have to set up all these pink wards here beforehand, because they're never going to have enough green wards to completely ward up the enemy jungle and actually bait out a Baron and force people to face check you. They're never going to have enough because they don't buy them. So they have to get kills if they want to take the Baron, and we see Unicorns just walk straight in, clear them pink wards, no real threat, not even sure why SK placed them just to back away. That's like 200 gold wasted.
Well, you don't need wards when you've got brains. That's what Henrated was saying yesterday. 114 on that Blitzcrank. One magical hook can be the game changer at this time, especially with an exposed inhibitor. Dragon's up in a minute. No vision around Dragon for SK Gaming. Pretty deep wards for Unicorns of Love, actually. If you look at SK's red side jungle, let's see if Unicorns can make use of that information. Henrated, not going to try the Rocket Grab steal. It didn't work out last time. Not needed this time either, and Power People will secure that. So, tense stuff as Dragon's getting closer to spawn.
Yeah, and Forgiven again on Graves. He did the same yesterday, going for this build where he just want to do as much damage as possible on his spells. Buckshot, of course, and his ulti, where he's just going for heavy AD, and obviously you get some armor penetration now from the Ghostblade, and it's all about these 6 seconds now where you got that extra attack speed from the Ghostblade. That's what he needs to make real use of if he wants to be a big force in the fights, which he has been already.
0 deaths to his name across 4 games. A combined 38 KDA. Unicorns of Love could take that little badge, saying I killed Forgiven first in 2015, but they need to get the fight.
They're pinging the Baron
setting
here.
up for Dragon.
They want SK to go for the Dragon and instantly just rush over to the Baron here, knowing that SK is very far away and there's no wards on the Baron either from them. They're going for it, but SK should be able to react in time. They're running straight from the Dragon.
Vardax has got a lot of damage. Baron's not going down quickly enough. Power of Evil trying to run interference. Let's see if he can hold them back for long enough. Baron's down to 50. Fox trying to chase. Baron continues to tick away. It's down to 30% HP. SK are in place. They pulled out Chachi. Chachi's thrown and rated against the wall. The first victim will be Hylissang, as we do see Baron was secured by SK Gaming. They've stolen Baron. They've taken down 3 members of the Unicorns of Love, and the Unicorns Gambit has not paid off. SK get both objectives and the team fight.
Yeah, completely backfired here by Unicorns of Love. Visichachi trying to execute himself. Or is he just going to dance around? Doesn't even matter, because SK got the Baron, they got the kills, they got the 4th Dragon. Next one, of course, is going to be the big one for them. And Rated landed a hook.
Didn't even need his ulti. Did not even need the static field.
Such
just
an
a
aggressive
passive.
play, though, by Unicorns of Love.
They didn't have the damage. Yes, they had a lot of DPS on Vardax, but that Baron took far too long and SK ran all the way.
So you can always wonder here, was it the right call to have Power of Evil sitting in the mid lane trying to bait that, hey, we're not on Baron, we're just sitting and farming back in our lanes and trying to like hold SK off at least for a few seconds? Or had he been there, would he have been able to do enough damage to actually take it down beforehand and not allowing SK to come in and just clean up everything?
I'm going to theorize that that Baron was around 2,000 HP
Yes.
before SK got in. I think Power of Evil with this many items
He would
have secured it.
For sure. If he had been there with the team, they would actually have gotten it before the fight. But still, SK coming in, they got the 4th Dragon already. And when you have a cannon and the enemy team is stuck in the Baron pit, it's very easy for you to go in and just destroy everyone. Obviously, all the damage from the Graves and cast it in as well. And SK, they keep punishing every mistake you make.
Unicorns of Love put themselves in a corner where Freddy slicing Maelstrom could hit everybody, and he did. Flame Chompers is going to dissuade Svenskera's Rek'Sai from going any further. But the damage is done. Baron, 4 Dragons, the inhibitor, and nearly 10,000 gold. Unicorns, they clawed back, but it just wasn't enough. Again, hindsight is 20/20, I guess.
Of course.
They'll have to live and learn from the amount of control they've given up.
Yeah. Whole plan was, of course, for Power of Evil to buy time. SK didn't go for it, or could buy it and just went straight for the Baron itself. Now let's see, the push is going on here. You have super minions in the mid lane. You have the Baron buff minions in the bottom side. Cannon minion, of course, doing some work. And 1 hook from Enrated and someone dies.
Well, same could theoretically be said from Hylissang. If he gets a squishy, let's see which support cap they've got. Chachi. Chachi's knocked up before he can hop
Except for
away.
that guy.
But the Lantern manages to work. Both of us proven wrong. Now Fox is caught. Fox is going to Rift Walk potentially. Hourglass is up. Flame Chompers, they do keep him down. They stop him against the wall. It's not going to be enough. They do manage to grab Chachi the second time round. They've traded mid laner for top. Super minions are pushing towards those Nexus turrets though, and SK still have Baron empowered minions. SK get the inhibitor turret. They're onto their second inhibitor turret in the last few minutes, and Unicorns of Love in a desperate, desperate situation.
2 inhibitors gone here. SK Gaming looking to go 4-0. Just wait for the next dragon to spawn, pick it up, and go for the finish here. I mean, top lane is the only thing missing for them.
As is always the case in the
Yeah,
European Spring Split. Middle first, bottom next, followed by top. SK have got control. And you know what? If you actually step back and think about this game as a whole, barring the decision to trade inhibitors, SK's been in complete control.
Yeah.
And even that inhibitor trade is still probably the best case scenario for both teams. The way they had positioned. So truthfully, SK, despite being, you know, in a risky position, they were still in control. They were dictating the tempo of the game, and they punished Unicorn's Baron attempt as well as they could.
They were dictating it because Unicorns of Love didn't want to try and actually punish them. When you keep your support with your dual lane or with your AD carry in a lane swap, it opens up for your top laner to be killed every time, and yet Freddy's left untouched, and he's been ahead of Vizicsacsi all game long. He got a very early Hourglass, which he should never been able to get for the very first team fight, remember, where he went in, killed Vardax, won the fight for SK as well, and even stayed alive. Let's see, SK going for the last turret here. Still 1 minute on the last dragon as well. If they get 3 inhibitors down and get the dragon,
well, it's looking to be that way, Deficio. Fox once again pushing a different lane. SK showing that you can still play the lane game to win. Death Sentence connects on Enrated. Is it Hook City? No, because the rocket grab is not fired. Svenskeren continues to poke, seeking out prey. He's caught Kikis. He's knocked up Kikis, but Kikis flags and drags to safety. Look at Forgiven. Got that Hourglass, rather, the Ghostblade active already used.
Yeah,
no minions left in the top lane.
Even more attack damage for Forgiven here. He just wants all the burst for when Enrated lands the hook. He has all the burst in the world to kill them.
Vardax taken out by Fox. Kikis hooked once again. Flashes this time round. Collateral damage is out, and Chachi's about to go Mega Gnar. Is it going to be enough? Forgiven gets tagged by that laser just a little bit, but remember, there's no ADC for Unicorns of Love. Fox soloed him. Flash, Freddy's against the wall. Hourglass is up, but there's no slicing Maelstrom yet. Freddy's in trouble. We do see him going aggressive nonetheless. Power of Evil in the background is going to get taken out, as is Freddy. Enrated being burned down by that laser. Kikis will be the next victim from the Unicorns of Love, and Fox is moving forward. That's Svenskeren with the knock-up, and Forgiven continues to pad his stats, continues to get assists on the board. SK Gaming are on the Nexus turrets. They've taken down the Unicorns of Love in 37 minutes. Another decisive win. SK stay at the top of the table with Fnatic at 4-0.
And Forgiven still hasn't died. The guy just refused to die. This game is not over yet, actually. And there we go, Nexus gone down.
We needed to hear one more Rek'Sai squeal. SK Gaming at 37 minutes. Dominating the Unicorns of Love. It's just great. Their map play, their decision making, timing of engages. You know, I gave them a lot of praise in the pregame, and they've yet again lived up to it. 4 games in a row.
Very true.
Forgiven still unkilled. He was 31 KDA coming into this game, plus 12. He's now 42 or 43 KDA. When is this man going to die?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as long as teams don't really do anything to try and punish SK Gaming, he won't die, because they can keep doing this. They keep making the right calls, take the right team fights. Yes, okay, we talked about how trading inhibitors weren't really in favor of SK, but apart from that, I mean, everything else was just in their favor. Unicorns tried a risky play at the Baron. They really sealed the deal of this game here, where SK picked that one up and just got so far ahead.
Before the game started, we heard from Vizicsacsi about how important Gnar is to him and his team. We know how popular it is, how Freddy's used it himself. How long has Freddy and SK been sitting on this Kennen strategy? And also, what does this do to every other team in the league? If you see that SK are not going to first pick a Gnar, and you want to play Gnar, are you going to be able to beat Kennen? That's the question that they're going to plant in every other team's mind.
It won't do anything, because you're going to lane swap again, and you're going to kill the Kennen in the lane swap. You're not going to let him just sit and free farm all game long, so he gets so far ahead of your Gnar that you can't do anything. I don't think teams are going to look at Kennen and say, oh, we can't play Gnar into it. It's going to be impossible. No, they're going to look at the lane swap from SK. Same thing for the last 4 games and say, okay, this is how they do it. Let's try and be more aggressive here. Let's try and use the fact we know they are fast pushing their turrets. We know the support is staying with the AD carry, and so on, so on, so on. That's what teams need to do. There's no change in the way the teams play against SK Gaming. They play the same style. Every single game is the same. You don't buy any wards, but you know exactly where to be on the map. You know how to play the lane swap. And because there's no reaction from the other side, well, it works for you. And you get into this mid-game point where you are heading global goal because you got all the outer turrets, and suddenly you're just too strong for the other team to fight you.
If any of the other coaches or analysts are listening to our post-game...
I might be totally wrong here, but it's how it
laid
looks.
it out for you. It sounds perfectly reasonable and logical to me, and I do agree with you. But I still think the question is going to be there. The doubt is going to be there. How often do you see a Kennen at this level of play?
Of course.
How often do you anticipate the damage and the CC? We saw how much Unicorns of Love was respecting that slicing Maelstrom in the top lane engage fairly early on in the game. Nobody wanted to cross that border. Nobody wanted to step into it. And talking about the Kennen and how well Freddy's playing, he continues to perform.
Yeah.
Last week we heard from, or was yesterday we heard from him saying, this is the first split where there's expectation on his shoulders. And I think he's living up to it. I think he's living up to the level that people expected from him.
Yeah, and now he has 2 carries to actually help him. Before, go back to Worlds. Everyone was just going to ban out top lane champions against Freddy because, okay, we don't care about Candy Panda, we don't care about Justice. It's all about Freddy here. Now you have a new mid lane, a new AD carry who can actually win games for you. So suddenly it's not all about Freddy doing all the work here. And of course, him and Svensson together, that synergy they do have, and we have seen it time and time again, they keep using it. The first gang in the top lane on Freddy, Svensson joins in with his ulti, suddenly turn it around, and again, advantage to SK.
The other side is Power of Evil got his legendary Syndra, and it didn't matter. I didn't feel any of his picks were super impactful. I didn't see any of those scatter the weak stuns keeping SK on the back foot. Yes, Unicorns of Love fell behind early, which makes it more difficult to have those straight-up fights, etc. But this is a champion that Power of Evil has single-handedly won games for his team in the past, and it was next to nullified this particular game. You never felt like Fox, despite falling behind in lane, he didn't give up solo kills. He wasn't overly punished.
No, and again, that's just SK as a team getting so far ahead. They pick the team fights, and if you have a Kennen flashing into your face as a Syndra, I mean, what are you going to do? He's going to outlast anyway. You can't kill him, and suddenly you're out of the fight. So Power of Evil did what he could in the mid lane. He actually ended up like 3-2. So
3-2 and 4, not the worst score,
no,
definitely not.
That's the thing. We can't really blame him. It's more as a team you fall behind. Again, the global goal is always in favor of SK because they get so many towers killed every single time. And again, they get the items faster because they don't buy any stupid useless wards.
Yep. Quote from Enrated.
That's it.
If he can buy items and power. We did see them using a little bit more deep vision to try get the most out of that Blitzcrank. But I think in this particular game, it was a lot more about Freddy. Freddy's zoning and Freddy's Kennen was very, very impactful in winning those team fights for them. So you've heard what we've had to say. Let's see what Shox and Cyanide have to say about the game as we throw it over to them.
Thank you very much, Quickshot. I'm here at SK Gaming's Forgiven, who still has not died once in 4 games to split. Forgiven the Immortal. Congratulations, another victory and great play by you guys.
Thank you.
Talk us through the picks and bans, getting that Rek'Sai for yourself, but giving up the Gnar-Jarvan combo, which is has proven to have been lethal in the past.
Yeah, I think you all tried, because we were on the purple side, to leave as many picks as possible. It's because we take like 2 picks per rotation. And they actually didn't succeed that much because we prepared about this sort of plan from UOL, and we knew that if they want to have chance of winning, they will prepare something like this, and they wouldn't base the game inside the game. Like, they will just go for a win outside of it, like by picks and bans. And like, we got Rek'Sai, who is like the most OP jungler, I think, even after the nerfs. And in general, we have just too many good players individually that they can make every pick work.
So you banned out a lot of top laners and you let them have the Gnar. Then you pick Kennen. Was that like some sort of plan that Kennen's really good against Gnar, or?
It's just that they have like 2 static picks actually. They had Syndra and the Jinx, and in general, except like if you think the team fight, how it will going to develop, like Gnar and Sarval will just jump on me, or they will just try to create a team fight via they can just pull out a combo for 5-man stun or whatever. But they were actually like 3 versus 3, and our 3 were better than theirs. And like Freddy will just go in, pop an ultimate with a flash, and whip. That's it.
You guys are winning all the lane swaps so far. And were you surprised to see them lane swap, even when you had like a Blitz, which is like not the strongest pick, 2v2?
No, I mean, Joel, we played like, I think 28, 29 scrims, maybe less. We lost every single bot lane, so we were actually expecting that.
Oh, okay. You were mentioning the team fight and how you would match up versus each other. So let's actually get a replay up on the screen for one of the beautiful team fights. Actually, a beautiful flank by Freddy when you guys, when Unicorns of Love are in the river. Let's roll the clip and Forgiven talk us through what happens there if you see Freddy coming in.
Yeah, I mean, we see Jinx misposition really hard, and like Freddy calls that he will engage. I will just prep my ultimate, and everyone else will just go to either Syndra or whatever the priority target is. And like with Syndra and Jinx out of the fight, it's pretty much easy, like just clean up, you know, nothing else.
Yeah.
So you guys are getting all the Drakes almost so far. Do you think the meta is a lot about getting the Drakes? Like you put a lot of focus into that?
Well, it's just Baron Dragon. If we can't take towers, we have to take something. We can't just farm everywhere.
Yeah.
So if people just unworthy and they don't like care about Dragon, we will just take 4 Dragons before 28 minutes, and then we will just contest the first and we will die.
Yeah, seems like a lot of teams don't seem to care about the dragons because you're getting them all.
Interesting that you mentioned the farming. It was kind of like Forgiven's farm simulator there for the most of the game in the beginning. Is that like a conscious choice that you know that you're not going to be needed anywhere else before any team fight occurs?
I just try to farm everything before any single team fight happens, so I can provide my team the most ridiculous advantage I can provide by myself. And if people just don't punish it or they just are ineffective into stopping me doing that, I will just farm everything and I will be like 4k gold or more ahead every single time.
Mm-hmm. You guys were actually a lot gold ahead, I think 8k gold at one point, but then the base race happened. It was sort of a base race. You traded inhibitors. Let's get the replay up on the screen of that base race because somehow the Unicorns of Love got back in the game. Let's roll the clip and talk me through decision making when you saw that they were going for that top turret.
It was actually a 50-50 call, like Freddy called that he will just go in to stall them from taking everything in hope of he maybe takes a kill, would just push mid, and ultimately I think the result of it was okay because we were the team that was ahead and like we just took the mid inhibitor, which is the most important. UL tried to play it after by pushing bot lane, which is inefficient, and we just had to basically wait for 5 minutes and then play out of that and back again.
So you guys were not too phased by that they took the inhibitors, you just kept
No,
playing
we just
your game.
wait.
You just wait. It all seems so simple. Yeah, there we see that you guys trade the inhibitor. You guys ended up with a mid inhibitor, which was really good as well. Let's fast forward to another phase in the game when the Unicorns of Love went for Baron. Another risky move on their part. Let's get that replay up on the screen as well. And Cyanide, I wanted you to talk through this one because you were the Smite King once, but Svenskeren does a good job here.
It was really nerve-wracking because the Baron was going, let's roll the clip here.
It'll roll in a second.
The Baron was going down really fast. I thought maybe they can make it, but Freddy and Svenskeren just flashed really like insanely bravely into the pit, and Svenskeren somehow gets it. I don't know how he does it, and it just clean up beauty at this point, and it just game-ending Baron right there.
And Cyanide, in this case, the Unicorns of Love, was it good of them to go for that bold Baron call, and should they maybe just have positioned differently because you're in the pit against the cannon and your AP carry is outside?
Yeah, it was a bit awkward because even if they ended up getting the Baron, they would have all died. So I don't know if it was really a smart call, if they were just a bit faster.
Yeah, you agree. I thought you wanted to say something there that you...
No, I just think that UL have really high potential. I mean, I see like their mid laner, the top laner are one of the best players in general of the league, and I think if they can improve as a team and not focus on individual targets or in general individual improvement, they can have a great future upon them.
So you have 0 deaths so far in the league. Does that get into your head at all? Like you're, oh, I kind of don't want to go in because I might die, or you're just like, screw it, if I die, I don't care.
I don't care if they come. If they overcommit from me, they will die from the rest of my team. It's just that people were efficient in diving me or giving me a hard time team fighting, so I just take advantage of it and I will position as much aggressively as I can and I will just flash QSS or heal or whatever I can in order to just save myself.
Why did you decide to build the attack speed pretty late in the game? You went for the Bloodthirster and the Infinity Edge first before you went for the Average Blade and then eventually Static Shiv?
I mean, if I go against a squishy target and people in early game don't build that much of an armor, let's say I go 1 versus 1 against Jinx and Syndra, okay? I will flash a stun and well, I will just critical QR and he's dead.
Well, I wish I had that much clear decision-making in-game. Final question, Iterated in an interview said that you were the best AD carry he ever played with. That's saying a lot, knowing that he played with the likes of Rekkles. Do you feel right now that you have the most skill in all the bottom lanes?
By far.
By far. All right. Thank you very much. Very sure and very confident talking to Forgiven here. It's time for us to take a short break, but we'll be back shortly for our final match of the day between Meet Your Makers and the Copenhagen Wolves. Don't you go anywhere.
Okay, team, I have a very serious question. Are we gonna win?
We're gonna win! Vizicsacsi flashes in. He's gonna be able to keep getting pushed back. Freddy doing a good job. That's a flash knockup. Svenskeren saves him. Slicing Maelstrom in the middle of the team. He's got the Hourglass down. They've got Vardags. The damage is down. They follow up with Hylissang. SK are in place. They pulled out Chachi. Chachi's thrown and rated against the wall. The first victim will be Hylissang, as we do see Baron was secured by SK Gaming. Hourglass is up, but there's no slicing Maelstrom yet. Freddy's in trouble. We do see him going aggressive nonetheless. Power of Evil in the background is going to get taken out. They've taken down the Unicorns of Love. Another decisive win